We welcome you to Stewart Stadium on the campus of Hofstra University, where tonight the Varsity Media Sports Network presents the Orland and Cone Game of the Week. It's the Nassau Conference 2 semifinals pitting the 5th seeded Seahawks of Carey taking on the top seeded and undefeated Trojans of Garden City. Good evening. I think we're evening, right, at this point? Good afternoon, maybe late afternoon. Dylan Butler here, thanking you for joining us. Had an adventurous drive from Walt Whitman, where we were able to bring you the Division I semifinals. Congratulations to Walt Whitman. These two teams looking to punch their tickets to the Conference 2 championship, and certainly Garden City, a team that really needs very little introduction. 9-0 this year. They have been a juggernaut in Nassau Conference 2 for several years. So, of course, Carey, with their hands full against the Trojans, Carey comes in as the number 5 seed. They defeated New Hyde Park in the quarterfinals 14-0, and for Carey, it's been a big late portion of the season where, they were 2-4 after losing to New Hyde Park, and it was kind of like where we're going at this point of the season. They hit that fork in the road. They beat Baldwin, then they beat Valley Stream Central before knocking off New Hyde Park. Of course, this is the big game for them to try to win. 41-0 was the final score for Garden City in Week 3, but that was without Carey. A lot of their key players who were out injured. That includes their quarterback, Dean Metzger. So he's back for Carey, but so too is their impact player. We'll show you him now. It is Kyle Lewis for Carey. We could have gone a few different guys here. It could have been Metzger, Tolliver, their tailback, but Kyle Lewis is just an overall threat. He is an Adelphi lacrosse commit, but there could be possibly college football in his future. You see the numbers there, just an all-around threat. When you speak to Carey's head coach, Mike Stanley, he says when you ask or you poll the players and coaches around Nassau Conference 2, who do you want or who do you not want the ball in their hands, who do you not want to kick it off to or punt it to, the answer always seems to be number 7 for Carey. He is their impact player. And when you think of Garden City's impact player, maybe no one has had a bigger impact than Jack Cascadden for Garden City. Number 21 for them has been just an absolute beast. He's got all the tools. He's a Cornell lacrosse commit, but when you talk about possibly the best player in Nassau this year, Cascadden might be that guy to win the award. He has been outstanding all year. Of course, you remember his dad, if you're a big Jet fan, Chad Cascadden. So the bloodlines are there for number 21, Jack Cascadden, an absolute beast for the Trojans. Head coach of Carey is Mike Stanley in his 15th year, and here is the opening kickoff as the Nassau Conference 2 semifinals are underway. Look at this return here. Up the near sideline, that's Stevie Fennell. A huge return for the Syracuse-bound lacrosse standout. And Fennell gets Garden City in some really good field position as if they needed any help. So Garden City will be led onto the field by their QB, Luke Schmidt, who is really, you'd have to say, a 3-year starter. And I say that because as a sophomore started the county championship game, a win against MacArthur. Then he played in the Long Island Championship. So Luke Schmidt is absolutely, having played all those big games, he's a 3-year starter. And what a career he has had, what a season he's had. We'll get you the rest of the starters for Garden City after this play. It's a handoff. There is Cascadden, and he has hit hard, a short gain, perhaps of 1. So let's take a look at those starters offensively for Garden City. Joining Schmidt, how about the dudes up front? We'll start with those guys because they're the ones leading the charge for Garden City. Here they are. You've got Staub, Stenson, Krieg, Cruciello, and Olson. You mentioned Schmidt, Kaskadin, Durkash, Parisa, Vortuba, and Considine. 2nd and 9. There's a run to the 40-yard line by Kaskadin. How about the Carey defense? Up front, you've got Paz, Judah, Benelli. Your linebackers are Raz, Tierney, and Rose, as well as Ray Bedian. Corners are Aragali and Tufano. Your safeties are Zitarosa and Lewis. 3rd and 5 for Garden City. Just underway, this Nassau Conference 2 semifinal. Live on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Another handoff. This time the run comes our way. And look at that play defensively. Schmidt hit in the backfield. And it was number 5, Rob Zitarosa, the junior. 11 tackles on the year. 1 fumble recovery. And you see him right there, just grab at the legs of Kaskadin. A terrific early play sets up a 4th and 6. Considering where they are in the field, and obviously with the ability that Garden City has, the Trojans will go for it here. So first real big play of this game. First drive for the Trojans. Under center is Schmidt. Fakes the handoff, rolls right, has blockers, throws it, and that is complete. A first down and more for Garden City. Big play for the Trojans, and making the grab for them. You saw it, 22 for GC, Jackson Paresa. So the 4th down conversion sets up Garden City, 1st and 10 from the Seahawks 22. Schmidt calls his own number, runs right. Oh, look at that fantastic block upfield. Schmidt is in for the touchdown. A 22-yard score, and after the 4th down conversion, Garden City is on the scoreboard. Watch the block on the top right of your screen. There it is. You just get sealed off. I think it was Paresa again, 22. And you see the reaction there by Schmidt, how much that meant to him. So Schmidt with the touchdown run, and Fargione comes on for the PAT, and it is good. So Garden City, after it appeared maybe the Seahawks had a stop, instead the Trojans jump in front 7-0. When we spoke with their head coach, Dave Ettinger, who, by the way, 6th season at the helm for Garden City, a 1993 graduate of Comac. By the way, under Ettinger, he's got a 70-3 record as the head coach of Garden City. That is just ridiculous. Of course, he took over for the legendary Tom Flatley, the late, great Tom Flatley. And Ettinger, he's been with the Garden City program since 1999, the high school level since 2005. This field is a special one for him. He was a 4-year kicker here at Hofstra when Hofstra had football, and he kind of said, look, I like being here. It brings back memories, but I also don't like it because it reminds him that Hofstra no longer has football. So a little bit of a bittersweet moment for Ettinger, but he loves what he saw there on the touchdown. And, you know, he says, we certainly ride guys like Schmidt, Kaskadin, Brendan Staub. We know that they're always making big plays. They make things a little bit easier because of their experience. And they've been certainly the leaders throughout this season. Forgione, a side-winding kick. It is kicked to Lewis. Backs up at the 25, tries to go up the Garden City sideline. He's forced out, and we have a flag on the play. So we'll see what this flag is. 1st and 10 from the 19. Carey looking for the response. Dean Metzger will lead the Carey offense out onto the field. Carey 5-4 on the year, but again, off to a great start. Metzger, a terrific story. He came into the preseason probably the best quarterback in the conference. Suffered a torn PCL in week 1. He gets Lewis in motion. 1st and 10 from the 19. Goes inside, hands off to Lewis, and Lewis gets out to about the 24-yard line. Let's take a look at those starters offensively for Carey. Up front, Vin Tierney. You've got Carter Kurtz, Jake Behringer, Gianluca Magliaro, and Jaden Paz at right tackle. Metzger, Tolliver, Lewis, Hogan, Tufano, and Bedian are your skill guys. 2nd and 4. Metzger takes a look all the way over at his own bench. He's got to get this one off quick. Back judge, arm up, counting. Nearly a delay of game. Metzger is eaten up by this stout Garden City defense. Leading the way there, as he has for most of the season, number 77, Brendan Staub. Let's take a look at those starters. Well, first we'll get the replay here of that play, that hit for a loss. 77 was late in there, but big play there for Garden City. Their defense, there you see it. Cascadin, Cruciello, Paisley, Olsen, and Staub, a 5-man front. Peters, Paskowitz are your linebackers. Archer and Fennell are your corners. Vortuba and Durkash at safety. 3rd and 7 for Carey on their first drive. Metzger motions Tolliver to his left hip, and there's a flag on the play. Our referee tonight is Pete Sigmund. And that call goes against Garden City. So a more manageable 3rd and 2 now for the Seahawks. We said it before, Metzger, torn PCL week 1. They thought he was done for the year, had a heavy brace, returned remarkably in week 7. Played some that week. He played all of weeks 8 and 9, 3rd and 2, with that heavy brace. You could see his left leg with that brace. Again, he motions Tolliver to his left hip. Snap, rolls left. He's got good blockers. Continues the run, dives toward the sideline. Right at I think beyond the sticks. He should have this first down. Only needed 2 yards. And Metzger will move the chains. So again, Metzger's a guy, his numbers don't pop out at you, but you got to remember, too, he missed 6 weeks of the regular season, 23 of 48, 296 yards and 3 touchdowns, 31 carries for 103 and a TD. That's kind of where he's perhaps most dangerous. And there's the run by Tolliver, and right in the middle, right at the heart of that defense, and Staub says, not on my watch. Big tackle there by Brendan Staub, number 77. That's a special number for Garden City, 77, worn in honor of Paul Ekna. And there you see the defense for Garden City. Second and 10. Metzger will go long, looking for Lewis, and just past the outstretched arm of Lewis, who drew a double team. That's how dangerous Kyle Lewis is. 27 receptions, 530 yards. You throw in 50 more carries for 188 yards. 9 combined touchdowns. Mike Stanley, the longtime head coach of Carey, says there's no doubt in my mind he could be a Division I football player. Right now he's committed to play lacrosse at Adelphi. 3rd and 10 from the 29-yard line. Metzger rolls right. Staub was chasing him. He gets the pass off, and it's a first down one at that as well. He found Lewis at the near sideline, right out at the 40. An 11-yard gain on that play from Metzger to Lewis. And Lewis looks a little bit banged up off of that play. Mike Stanley, 15th season as Carey head coach in 1995, graduate of Baldwin High School. Played at Baldwin, played at Stony Brook, a wide receiver there. 104 and 46 is Stanley's overall record. 1st and 10 from the 41-yard line. Metzger pushes forward. He'll get about 3. And again, that's the part of Metzger's game that maybe is lacking right now only because of that bulky knee brace. It's hard to run the way that Metzger can run with that brace. 2nd and 8 from the 43. Want to congratulate Gene Metzger, by the way. They had National Signing Day, just signed his letter of intent to play lacrosse at Providence. Bedian is motioned out to the left. 2 running backs. Lewis at the bottom of your screen. 2nd and 8 from the 43-yard line. A lot of moving parts here offensively among the skills. Now Lewis is in motion. They get him on a screen. He's got a blocker upfield as well. Good gain there by Lewis and some extra physicality between the line guys. That was Cascadden. He doesn't wrestle Cascadden, number 21, but that looked like a 2-point takedown. And there you see again Lewis getting into some open space, get some good blocking upfield as well. And there you see that extra physicality at the end. 3rd and 4 from the 47-yard line. Trips right for Carey. Metzger lowers the shoulder, hoping for the push. It's certainly not out to the first down marker, though. And Carey will have their first decision to make with the ball out at midfield. 4th and 2 from their own 49-yard line. Their punter is 19, Ryan Degnan, but it does appear the Seahawks will go for it here. Lewis is in motion. Metzger, he's pulled down from behind. And that is our impact player, Cascadden, 21. Watch again. Watch 21 come in here from the end. Right there. He was already in the backfield and grabs Metzger's ankle and pulls him back. So a turnover on downs and some, again, great field position. There you see some of those numbers offensively for Cascadden. He is maybe as good defensively. Mike Stanley, the Carey coach, says, look, I know that he's going to play lacrosse at Cornell, but he's a guy, he could play. He looks like a Big 12 football player. And again, Cascadden, he's 6'3", 215, just out of central casting. Terrific size by the senior. 1st and 10 from the 49-yard line. Schmidt under center. Hands off, and there is Cascadden, blasting himself forward for about a gain of 4. Garden City, one of the remaining undefeated teams on Long Island. We saw one of the others earlier as Walt Whitman improved to 10-0. Seaford also among those undefeated teams. Another run to the outside, and Listen, they say all the time, right? You got to follow your blocks. And that is just what R.J. Vortuba did, number 44. If you see it again, it's just a matter of again, he wasn't trying to go a million miles an hour, but he just wanted some help from his lead blocker, and Vortuba got just that. So first down run, and Garden City knocking on the door again. Schmidt rushed for a touchdown to give them a lead, and now they're at the 35-yard line of Carey with a fresh set of downs. Schmidt fakes the handoff, rolls right. Look at the legs on Schmidt, hops a little bit. He'll get the first down and gets pulled down inside the 20-yard line. Little skip in the step of Luke Schmidt, who on the season came into this game with 23 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. See there, chased by Matteo Tefano, number 20. Another big run, a gain of 15 on that play. First and 10 from the 35-yard line. From the 19-yard line. Again, Schmidt goes himself. Gets a couple yards on that run. Fake the handoff. And continued his run. Only a gain of 1 there. 2nd and 8 from the 17-yard line. Second trip inside the red zone for the Trojans. They scored on their first. Schmidt to pass, and that is dropped. An incomplete pass. The intended receiver was Stevie Fennell, son of the Garden City great lacrosse coach, Steve Fennell, and Steve Fennell also an assistant coach here at Garden City, on the football team, I should say. Stevie Fennell, 6'1", 190. We mentioned before, a Syracuse lacrosse commit. Still just a junior. 3rd and 8, 1:02 remaining in this first quarter. Garden City looking to extend its lead. Oh, it's a movement up front. No flag on the play. Look at the hurdle by Cascadin. Look, it's one thing that you're 6'3", 215, right? But then you start hurdling dudes. It's just not fair. Watch 21 again. Breaks the first tackle, cuts it to the outside. Excuse me. Just hurdles a man. He hurdles himself actually out of bounds, although actually the referees say he was still in bounds. Different hash marks, certainly in college. So it's a 4th and 8 from the 17. Final 30 seconds of the first quarter. Vortuba motioned, and Ettinger says, you know what, let's talk it over a little bit. Timeout for Garden City. I want to thank some of our sponsors here of this broadcast. Lynbrook Swag. Thank you to Lynbrook Swag for sponsoring today's game. For the best embroidery and custom apparel, call them at 516-705-5888. Lynbrook Swag works with many sports teams around Long Island. Mention hashtag Buckeyes and save 10%. Lynbrook Swag, we thank them for their sponsorship today. 4th and 7 from the 16-yard line. Well, Ettinger poo-pooed a little bit, right, coming back to Hofstra. He was certainly excited for his team. Again, remember last year, in the pandemic year that it was, this facility was closed, so you had your championship game, as Garden City did, on campus, but now you get a chance to get to the big stage, right? Big lights, big stadium at Stewart Stadium. So he said, look, obviously everyone's excited to get back there. It's pretty much a new experience for almost everybody in the team, though, so it should feel a little bit different. And that is true. Only 3 guys at the start of the season had ever gone up to preseason camp, and that was Schmidt, Cascadden, and Staub. So this is a new experience for everybody. 4th and 7 from the 16. 9 seconds left in the first quarter. Schmidt looks end zone. Touchdown! Another 4th down conversion. Another touchdown for Garden City. It is Jackson Pereza, his 5th receiving touchdown of the season to extend Garden City's lead. You see it again, Schmidt, a perfect look to the end zone. And that's where 22, Pereza, scores. Here's Fargione to attempt the extra point. It is up, and it is good. So Garden City extends their lead in this Nassau Conference 2 semifinal game. We've got one more game coming up here at Hofstra's Stewart Stadium. It'll be Mepham and MacArthur. The original time was an 8:30 start for that one. Mepham and MacArthur. That's your 2-3 matchup. There you go. So you could still tune in at 8:30. You just might still be getting the end of this game, or maybe they catch up. We're not sure. Certainly the delays earlier in weather have pushed things pretty significantly back. I know our fearless leader, Ben Turchin, was concerned, I think is the word, about if I would even get here on time from Walt Whitman after all the delays of weather. And Ben has a wedding to attend as well, so a lot on Ben's mind here tonight, but everything worked out just about according to plan, and we're certainly excited to bring you this game on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Garden City, the juggernaut that they are, 9-0 on the season. They do, at least Mike Stanley said for Carey, face a different Seahawks team than they did in Week 3, if for no other reason that, 1, they're feeling confident, and 2, they're as healthy as they've been all year. Remember, Dean Metzger wasn't part of that Carey team in Week 3, was still recovering from that PCL injury in Week 1. There's the return. Gets out to about the 30. And that'll do it for the first quarter. It's a first quarter dominated by those guys in maroon, Garden City, with a 14-0 lead in the Nassau Conference 2 semifinals. You're watching the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Welcome back to Hofstra Stewart Stadium. Dylan Butler here. We thank you for joining us on the Varsity Media Sports Network. A busy day at Varsity Media. A lot of big football games already played. This is the third game of the day here. Peter Schwartz brought you those Conference 4 semifinals. We were out at Walt Whitman as the Wildcats reach the Suffolk 1 final to play Floyd there. This is the time of year when if you're playing football, you've had a pretty good season, that is for sure. 1st and 10 from the 30, jump ball, and it goes for an incomplete pass. Metzger, and maybe it's a little bit unfair because it's more sort of projecting and assuming what would have happened if he wasn't injured, but number 12 for Carey, their QB, Stanley says, I'd put him up there in the Mount Rushmore of Carey quarterbacks. More on that in a moment, as he again will go all the way out to his sideline to get the call from his head coach. And again, some confusion. Running out of time here is Metzger. He's got to get this play off. He will not, and it is a delay of game. Garden City defense excited about that because it did appear that certainly Carey a little bit out of sorts there, right? And all the way on the field there was Stanley. You could see him at the top right or top of your screen speaking with one of the officials. It's not especially loud here, but Metzger has had, it appears, maybe some communication issues, whether it's from his own sideline or with his other teammates. So on the delay of game, 2nd and 15 from the 25-yard line. Lewis motions behind. Metzger takes it himself, breaks the first tackle, but will not be able to avoid 44, R.J. Vortuba. There he is, big play by number 44, Vortuba, who perhaps of all of the, or among all of the Garden City players, might have made the biggest jump from week 1 all the way to now we're in week 10. He's been very good. 3rd and 16, a lot of moving there. You see 27 bouncing around there is Fennell. And again, the back judge will start his count. Metzger fakes the handoff. Look at a completion. And how about this one for Carey? After all of that confusion, it's a touchdown for the Seahawks. And a long one at that. Shane Hogan into the end zone. From a 3rd and 16 into the end zone. Metzger connects with Hogan. Hogan's 2nd receiving touchdown of the year. And you could see sort of how the Garden City defense was bouncing around. Guys weren't sure where they should be. Great fake by Metzger. And look at this, right over the middle, right through 3 different defenders for Garden City. And then Hogan does the rest. The point after attempt by Gangone is up and good. And that's a great response for Carey. They fell into a 14-0 hole, and then Hogan with the touchdown. Mike Stanley, the Carey head coach, says Hogan is a good possession receiver. Ironically, he said we could take a deep shot with him as well. Well, I think they found that out for sure, as Hogan, with that long receiving touchdown, has pretty good speed as well when he gets into space, Hogan. He's not like that game breaker that Lewis is, but a good complement. So if you want to double team Lewis, go right ahead. Hogan, 15, will find a way. He did there, and we weren't sure, right? How much of a game would we have? It was 41-0 in the regular season. But once again, that was a regular season game when Metzger wasn't here, and other guys were a little bit banged up as well. So a fully healthy Carey team. And even there, right, how healthy is Metzger? But he's as healthy as he's been all year, and Carey's got to love that response. Again, they had a bit of a fork in the road in the regular season, as that's a bit of a ground ball fielded at about the 25-yard line, and getting into space is Stevie Fennell. Again, another big run, gets a huge block upfield, another one by Vortuba. And Fennell gets into Carey territory, pulled down at about the 42-yard line. So Stevie Fennell, another great return. Watch 44 as well as that lead blocker. Bang, right there. There's a pancake for you. Pancakes for dinner? Sure. Vortuba will deliver those. So now if you're Carey, right, you get the score, you pull within 7, but here's the key, right? Can you get a stop? 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. Here's some more Cascadin. A great block from the outside as well. And Cascadin with a big run. The block upfield was Paskowitz, number 88. He's a tight end. Paskowitz, senior, 6'2", 185. So 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. Another run left, cut inside, another cut as well. And there is Cascadin. Another huge run by Jack Cascadin. Is he the best player in Nassau County this year? Stay tuned. But you could have made the argument last year, certainly, that he was. Maybe he gets those accolades this year. 9 yards on that first down carry. Sets up a 2nd and 1. Oh, excuse me. That was a first down run on 2nd and 1, which brings up a 1st and 10 from the 11. Fake handoff to Fennell. Here's Schmidt. Great pursuit, though, by the Carey defense. Saw 16, David Raz in there, the linebacker. A co-captain this year. He's earned that spot. He's been an outstanding leader all year for Carey, number 16, Raz. 16 tackles now on the year. 3 for a loss. That was only a gain of 1. 2nd and 9 from the 10. Heavy backfield now for Garden City. Look at this. Schmidt goes in the air and just misses his intended target. That was Matt Kephart, number 24, the sophomore. Kephart has only made 1 reception on the year. That was for 3 yards. He also missed a bunch of the year due to injury, so good to see Matty Kephart back for the Trojans. You would expect, certainly, this is 4-down territory, right, at the 10-yard line, so 2 more chances here for the Seahawks to try to get a stop. 3rd and 9 from the 10. Schmidt rolls right, end zone, touchdown. And there he is again, Jackson Pereza, back-to-back receiving touchdowns for number 22. So 2 for 22. And Garden City extends their lead, and they get the response right after Carey scores. And they're a Fargione PAT away from a 14-point lead. Snap is good, kick is up, and that is also good. So we'll take a quick break. 8:16 left in this second quarter. Top-seeded Garden City leads number 5, Carey, in this Nassau Conference 2 showdown. That's the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Not feeling the love after your last tennis match? We've got specialists for that. Running for the train, derail your knee? We've got specialists for that. Diving after that grounder, leaving you grounded? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Back here at Stewart Stadium, Dylan Butler on the Varsity Media Sports Network. We thank you for joining us. Another Orland and Cone Game of the Week. Certainly want to thank Orland and Cone for their sponsorship of these Varsity Media broadcasts, but also just in general, just for being great stewards and really taking care of the student athletes on Long Island, both in Nassau and Suffolk County as well. We saw Orland and Cone doctors out at Walt Whitman this afternoon. They're here as well tonight. They're everywhere. Orland and Cone, the leaders in physical therapy here on Long Island. Off the kickoff, that's Lewis, and he certainly has a burst. So Carey looking to come right back. They'll have the ball at the 35-yard line. Paresa already having himself a day. 3 receptions, 45 yards, 2 touchdowns. Schmidt, 3 of 5 for 45 yards, 2 touchdowns. Throwing the ball, 4 rushes, 41 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Empty backfield for Metzger. He will go long again. Jump ball, intercepted. Here's another guy having himself a day. R.J. Vortuba. Jump ball, and Vortuba came down with it. And a big play there by Garden City. You see it again. Another deep ball. And at that point, it's like, who wants it more, right? And few want it more than Vortuba. Looked like that was Tolliver downfield, number 30 for Carey. So the Trojans back in business. 1st and 10 from the Carey 30. And this is part of what makes Garden City so dangerous. Schmidt, he'll also lob one deep. Has a man, one-handed attempt, but incomplete. Paresa going, or attempting, the first half trifecta. He already has 2 receiving touchdowns for Garden City. But again, Garden City is so stout in all phases of the game that if you are the opponent, and in this case it's Carey, you can't beat yourself, right? Because you know Garden City isn't going to beat themselves. So it just makes it so much more difficult. You've almost got to play a perfect game. On the sideline to note, Jack Cascadden is getting worked on. Number 21. Doesn't seem to be anything too serious, but he is getting looked at by a trainer. Something to note here as we go on. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Short pass out to about the 20-yard line. It is complete to Vortuba. Certainly Garden City hasn't struggled with Cascadden on the sideline. That is for sure. That is how deep and dangerous this Garden City team is. The Trojans face a 3rd and 2. From the 22. as the clock, you see in the bottom of your screen, continues to wind. 7:10 left now. And I look now, Schmidt. Hands off. That is Stevie Fennell. Like a out-of-control locomotive, Fennell. Gets himself inside the 10, so it's a 1st and goal. And Fennell, you see him here again, 27. Good blocking upfield. I think that was Vartuba again. It might have been 24, excuse me. With a nice block inside. That was Matty Kephart allowing Fennell to push forward. But Fennell, throughout the year, he's a guy that Ettinger wanted to get him some touches, and he kind of was that next guy. There he is again, and Fennell, he's healthy right now. He's been banged up for a good portion of the year, and Fennell, again, the lacrosse standout, gets himself to the 4-yard line. 2nd and goal from there. So many of these guys are that synergy, right, between lacrosse and football. But the great thing about Garden City football, at least I think, is they are lacrosse players, a lot of them who play football, but from the months of like August until late November, they are football players. They are not lacrosse players. They absolutely embrace the tradition of Garden City football. 2nd and goal from the 4. Schmidt back to pass. Gets the protection. Still looks. Slings it far side. Touchdown, Garden City. Will Peters. And how about that for Garden City, finding all kinds of ways. What you'll love about that play was, one, that Schmidt stayed alive, right? He didn't just throw the ball out of the end zone. He wanted to make a play. Watch 78 come back in the block. He lost his man, stayed with it. A fantastic block there by Sawyer Olson, the junior. And how about that? Will Peters gets himself his 4th receiving touchdown of the year. Forgione's PAT is up and good, and the lead for Garden City extends to 28-7. It was 14-7. It feels like not too long ago, but how about Will Peters? Right, was a tight end a year ago. Good blocker. He's gotten better catching the football, Dave Ettinger said, and we could see that from Peters. And there you see the Trojans certainly excited about what they've seen thus far. 28-7 the lead with 5:24 remaining in this first half. Well, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster season for Carey. And again, we mentioned sort of the fork in the road for Carey, which came after a 2-4 start. They responded with a big win against Baldwin on the road, an improved Bruins side. And then a Week 8 win against Valley Stream Central. And they avenged one of their losses on the year. That Week 6, 21-0 defeat to New Hyde Park. And they shut out New Hyde Park 14-0 in the quarterfinals. In that game, it was Metzger going 10 of 12 for 145 yards and a touchdown. Will Tolliver had 9 carries for 65 yards and a score. Kyle Lewis, 8 receptions for 141 yards and a TD. Of course, that was against New Hyde Park. This is against Garden City. Kyle Lewis fumbles the kickoff, and it is Garden City football. It is going maroon all the way. That's especially painful for Carey because Lewis has been so good all year long. And again, Garden City is dangerous when they've got 80, 90 yards to move the football. You give them situations like this where they need just 20, you're really putting yourself in a tough situation if you're Carey. So the Garden City offense sans Jack Cascadden back on the field. First and 10 from the 19-yard line. There's the handoff. Good cut inside. Another great block. The block was by Fennell, but there's a flag on the play and some extracurriculars as well. An additional flag. This in the end zone as it was Staub trying to continue to block. And instead, I think the first might have been a hold. We'll await the call by the officials. That was Vortuba with the run. Our referee again this evening is Pete Sigmund. Schmidt 5 of 8 for 57 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's rushed 4 times for 41 yards and a touchdown. Here is the call. Looks like we'll have offsetting personal fouls. A lot of motioning there by Sigmund. The first foul was, I believe, to be a hold against Garden City, and then you had that bit of a wrestling match in the end zone. So after all of those motions and infractions, Garden City pushed back to the 24-yard line. Trojans lead 28-7. Final 5 and change left in this second quarter. There's Fennell. Cuts inside. And really the physicality is being brought by the Garden City offensive line. That time we saw Andrew Cruciello. Big Andy, as they call him. 6'3", 285 is number 68, Cruciello. Second and 7 from the 16-yard line. Oh, Schmidt goes the opposite side. Again, the blocker comes from up the field. That was Durkash on the edge, blocking for Schmidt. And he pushes himself forward for another Garden City first down. Good play fake as well. And the handoff, actually never faked it the other way, but you can see Schmidt getting a good block upfield. Sealing his defender was Durkash, which allowed Schmidt to continue his run. So it's a first and goal from the 6-yard line. Schmidt under center, hands off to Fennell, breaks the first tackle, and he's in the end zone for the score. Stevie Fennell gets in the end zone, extending Garden City's lead. Fennell entered the game 29 carries, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's battled a foot injury early in this season. When healthy, as he is now, Dave Ettinger says that Fennell is a good guy to give Cascadden a blow when he needs it. Well, Cascadden does right now because he's on the sideline, and Fennell has more than picked up the slack. Another touchdown for Garden City as they extend their lead to 35-7 with 3:23 left in this first half. I want to thank another one of our sponsors. I want to thank Tony and the crew at Fat Boy Burrito for sponsoring today's game. Located in Belmore, these guys make some unbelievable burritos and bowls. They're opening up locations soon in Levittown and East Northport as well. Check them out at fatboysburritoco.com. 3:23 left in a dominant first half for Garden City. Remarkable to think, too, that it was 14-7. It feels like only a few minutes ago. But Garden City, again, they just make the most out of great field position, out of capitalizing on the other team's mistakes. That's certainly been the case here in this first half. We say it often, right? When you play Garden City, you don't have to play a perfect game, but you can't beat yourself. And I think when Mike Stanley brings his Seahawks into the visitors' locker room here at Hofstra, he's got to say that's not been the case. Some costly mistakes for Carey as Lewis on the return. So Carey would love nothing more than to try to get in the end zone and slice into their sizable deficit, if for no other reason than to just feel better about themselves in this first half. They take over on their own 34-yard line. And Garden City forced to call a timeout. Personnel wasn't where I guess they should be or wanted them to be. We'll take the timeout with them as well. 3:14 left in the second half. It's all Garden City here in this Nassau Conference 2 semifinal. It's the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Sargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long, wide open, Perazzi, he gets it, Perazzi, foot raise, 10, 5, bank it, touchdown, punch, counter punch.
The trickery, Ryder gets it back, goes over the top for Haberman, what a catch!
Just Ross Simmons strips him, that's loose, and Ross Simmons is going to take this the other direction, bank it, touchdown, East.
Welcome back to Stewart Stadium. And again, a personnel issue there for Garden City. Right off the timeout, too. Nearly too many guys on the field. 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. Inside handoff. Nowhere to go. How about that tackle? 78, Sawyer Olson. He's a junior and a returning starter. Did a great job as a sophomore, like Staub, who wears number 77, who he plays next to on the right side, a great athlete. There you see 78, just getting in the backfield for a loss of 3 on the play. Lewis in motion. Motion's back the other way. Here comes a pressure. Bouncing off of it is Metzger. Lobs it downfield. It's intercepted. Another pick for Garden City. That's Durkash getting to the outside. And when it rains, it pours. Garden City, again, capitalizing. And that's one of those situations, too. Metzger was pressured right away. Remarkably, he kind of bounces off this attempted sack, right? But right there, he sees 3 more guys going, just lobs it up. That's one he would certainly want back, as it went right into the arms of Durkash. He was trying for the pick 6. Good return by Durkash, who rotates in. And Garden City, again, look at their drives really throughout this game. They start this drive with the 13. They were at the 20 before. I don't think they've started a drive on their side of midfield yet in this game. First and 10. There's the handoff to Fennell. Oh, excuse me, that's Vortuba. Cuts it inside, pulled down at about the 8-yard line. And again, some extracurriculars. There was seemingly a punch thrown by a Carey player, and this is where you've got to be careful, right? If you are either team. Look, obviously, emotions run high. It's a physical sport. Carey, Garden City guys are known to continue and complete their tackles, but you could see it there in the end zone a little bit. And you see the flag that was thrown. It appeared that a punch was thrown, or at least a swing was made. We'll see what the call here is by our referee tonight, Pete Sigmund. In the white hat, you see him there. We got a personal foul against Garden City. Personal foul against Carey as well. They will offset. So second time in this first half we've had offsetting penalties. This was a rivalry back, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so. Obviously, they were kind of neighboring communities, right? Franklin Square, Garden City. So the kids know each other. They've played against each other in youth football. But it's been one-way traffic for many years now. You've got to go back to like 2013 and 14 when Ray Catapano was the Carey quarterback, and they've had great battles here at Hofstra. But that was a long time ago. 2nd and 5 from the 8. Schmidt rolls left. Great pursuit. He's taken down. That was a really nice looking tackle. He was pulled down by number 8, Gangone. Watch Gangone get on his horse and chase down Schmidt and then just go right at his feet. Tripped him up for a loss. 3rd and 8 from the 11. We approach the final minute of the fourth quarter. Schmidt goes end zone or front of the end zone, spinning towards the end zone, and another touchdown. And it's Jackson Paresa again. Paresa not even celebrating this one, just goes right up his sideline to extend the Garden City's lead to 41-7. Good extra effort there by Paresa as well. You see the ball was thrown to the front of the end zone, was pulled from behind, but still stretched out those arms, able to get into the end zone. Regular season matchup was 41-0 for Garden City, as Carey looks like they're going to be called for offside on the PAT. So off the penalty, Forgione attempts the PAT. This one is up and good. He is 6 for 6 tonight, and he extends Garden City's lead to 42-7. want to thank another one of our sponsors, and it is Orland & Cohn. We want to thank Orland & Cohn for their season-long title sponsorship and for allowing today's games to be broadcast free. Orland & Cohn are the best providers of orthopedic care around Long Island. Visit them online for more information, orlandcohen.com. So all Garden City here. 42-7 lead with 1:01 left in the first half. A reminder, too, this is the first of two games in Nassau Conference 2 that we have for you. We've got the nightcap, whatever time that will be. It'll be Mepham and MacArthur. That's the 2-3 matchup. MacArthur won that one in the regular season, but Mepham, a better team, a different team this time around. We expect that one to be a competitive showdown. For Gion, off the leg of a Carey player. And a short return to about the 30. So it would seem ample opportunity for a lot of that pretty big bench for Garden City to see time here. And really probably not even any need to have a Cascadon come back in the game. Still on the sideline. 1st and 10 for Carey. That ball blocked. And what a grab. It looked like it was possibly going to be incomplete. I think that was Lewis, right? 7 making the grab. It had taken a deflection. Watch it again. It gets deflected by Garden City at the line. But somehow Lewis, there it is, dives and makes a 5-yard reception. Metzger tucks it under, and he's pulled down from behind. And that's 78 again. Olsen having himself a terrific first half. A year ago, Olsen was a guy with those physical MacArthur guys. He was getting knocked around. And this year, Olsen and Staub are the ones doing the knocking down. A dominant opening 24 minutes for Garden City. They lead Carey 42-7. We'll get you some first half stats, some highlights as well. It's the Nassau Conference 2 semifinals. It's the Orland & Cohn Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist, making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Touchdown to Allstrand. Inside handoff this time. Look at a spin. Campbell breaks the tackle. Breaks into the secondary. Jackson Campbell. Touchdown, Northport.
With 4 passing touchdowns tonight. Give to the right side. Back it comes for McKee. He loads up and fires wide open. At the 10-yard line was Logan Lyson.
Second and goal from the 15. Look out. Kelly under pressure. Gets out of it. Interception at the 10-yard line. And look at this return to the 20, the 30. There's blockers up the field. From the 10 to the end zone. Touchdown, Ward Melville.
Varsity Media top 10. There we go, right there. Who needs Sports Center when you got Varsity Media top 10?
It's time to get hyped with Varsity Media. We offer an array of video services sure to amp up your team. From staged preseason hype videos with custom lighting and smoke machines to sideline highlights of a big game. How can your team stand out from the crowd? Contact Varsity Media today and let us tailor something your squad will never forget. These are the best times of your life. Capture them in the most creative ways possible with the sports leader, Varsity Media.
Not feeling the love after your last tennis match? We've got specialists for that. Running for the train, derail your knee? We've got specialists for that. Diving after that grounder, leaving you grounded? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better faster.
Parents and athletes, why leave your college career in the hands of amateurs? Varsity Media produces professional college recruiting videos that you can use to help land a spot on the team. Our highlight reels have proven to save thousands of dollars in college tuition. You've worked hard and put the effort into your high school athletic career. Don't take any chances when it comes to your future. Varsity Media has been producing college recruiting videos since 2010. We understand what college coaches are looking for, and our attention to detail on your highlights will separate your resume from others. Stand out from the crowd. We'll help showcase your talents. Contact Varsity Media today and order a college recruiting video. Varsity Media is the tri-state area sports leader. We offer an array of services for any team, coach, player, athletic director, and parent. From game film to live streaming, we are available to cover your event anytime, any place. Looking for an enhanced experience? How about a professional broadcast with multiple camera angles, announcers, graphics, and instant replay? Need a highlight reel? We produce individual highlights for college recruiting and team highlight videos for end-of-season banquets. And when it comes to social media, nobody has you covered better than us. Hype videos, sideline highlights. We can tailor custom videos to make your team stand out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Why waste your time dealing with anyone else? When it comes to sports video, Varsity Media stands alone. Contact us at 516-403-2050 or online at varsitymedia.net.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better faster.
Touchdown to Allstrand. Inside handoff this time. Look at a spin. Campbell breaks the tackle. Breaks into the secondary. Jackson Campbell. Touchdown, Northport.
with 4 passing touchdowns tonight. Give to the right side. Back it comes for McKee. He loads up and fires wide open at the 10-yard line was Logan Lyson.
Second and goal from the 15. Look out. Kelly under pressure gets out of it. Interception at the 10-yard line. And look at this return to the 20, the 30. There's blockers up the field. From the 10 to the end zone. Touchdown, Ward Melville.
Varsity Media top 10. There we go, right there. Who needs Sports Center when you got Varsity Media top 10?
It's time to get hyped with Varsity Media. We offer an array of video services sure to amp up your team. From staged preseason hype videos with custom lighting and smoke machines to sideline highlights of a big game. How can your team stand out from the crowd? Contact Varsity Media today and let us tailor something your squad will never forget. These are the best times of your life. Capture them in the most creative ways possible with the sports leader, Varsity Media.
Not feeling the love after your last tennis match? We've got specialists for that. Running for the train, derail your knee? We've got specialists for that. Diving after that grounder, leaving you grounded? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Parents and athletes, why leave your college career in the hands of amateurs? Varsity Media produces professional college recruiting videos that you can use to help land a spot on the team. Our highlight reels have proven to save thousands of dollars in college tuition. You've worked hard and put the effort into your high school athletic career. Don't take any chances when it comes to your future. Varsity Media has been producing college recruiting videos since 2010. We understand what college coaches are looking for, and our attention to detail on your highlights will separate your resume from others. Stand out from the crowd. Will help showcase.
Welcome back to Stewart Stadium at Hofstra. Dylan Butler here. We thank you for joining us on the Orland & Cohen Game of the Week. It's all Garden City. Trojans lead Carey 42-7 as we are just about set for the start of the second half. Let's show you some first half highlights. And again, obviously it's a first half dominated by Garden City. It started with Luke Schmidt with a 22-yard touchdown run, and then it was Jackson Paresa with a 16-yard reception from Schmidt that extended the lead to 14-0. But the response came from Carey and was an emphatic one at that. Metzger finds Shane Hogan over the top. That is a 76-yard touchdown, and that cut Carey's deficit to 14-7. And then Carey had a chance to maybe even tie the game. But here is a pick that was thrown, little jump ball, and nice job coming down with it was RJ Vortuba, one of 2 picks in that first half by Garden City, who added this touchdown by Stevie Fennell, a 6-yard touchdown run. Paresa added a 10-yard reception from Schmidt, and it's 42-7. Let's show you some quick first half stats as well before we return to action, and you can see how dominant of a first half it's been. Although some extra yards there primarily came from that 75-yard touchdown or 76-yard touchdown. You can see the plays, Garden City dominating there, doubling up Carey, possession time also in Garden City's favor. And the Trojans also 2 of 2 on 4th down conversions. Here's Kyle Lewis getting it to the outside and strolls to his own sideline. So Carey with the ball to start this second half. When we spoke to Carey head coach Mike Stanley about the Garden City defense, he says, look, it starts with Cascadden. He is a different level. He's a guy who could play in the Big Ten. He's just incredible. On the other side, on your other end, is Staub, and he's not too shabby, right? So you really can't block them one-on-one. You try and read them at the defensive end, but they're just so athletic. They can get up and play, run, or here's the first down run. It is Lewis bouncing it outside, forced out of bounds by Vortuba. He said they can get, again, this is Stanley on Garden City, they can get themselves out in coverage, which they've shown to do. They're just incredible players, and they're athletes on the perimeter. You can't find a favorable matchup. A 2-yard gain on first down brings up a 2nd and 8. Metzger in shotgun. Oh, nearly picked off again. That was Paskowitz, who did get a hand on it, but nearly picked it off. Brings up a 3rd and 8. Metzger rolls right. And that is incomplete as well. The intended target was Lewis. So the Seahawks will go 3 and out as Ryan Degnan will come on to punt the football. It's like Durkash is deep, as is Vortuba. And a flag on the play. We've had a few in this first half. Referee Pete Sigmund with the call. It's against Garden City. 12 men on the field. So a little bit more manageable, and it appears that Carey will go for it here off of the penalty. They get their offense onto the field. 4th and 3. Metzger checks the play on his forearm. Back to Bass again, rolls that way. And that is incomplete. And a late flag. And you can see the clapping on the Carey sideline. This appears to be against Garden City. And look, if you are a coaching staff, right, you're always looking for teaching moments and getting your guys coached up. And I can't imagine that Ettinger and his staff are too pleased with just so many penalties against them, and also just some unnecessary ones. Here's he again. It's going to be against Garden City. It's assessed, though, after the play. So An unsportsmanlike conduct is the penalty. Which will push Garden City back to their own 44. And here come the Trojans. Schmidt still in at QB. Cole Weber was the usual backup, but he's been hurt. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. We've seen Schmidt go from shotgun and also under center. This time out of the gun. Runs up the middle. Big burst there into the secondary. Lewis among the tacklers, but not before Schmidt gets another Garden City first down. You can see Lewis just grabbing a hold. Took a little bit of a ride, it seemed like, as well. But that was enough to make the tackle. Schmidt, though, moved the chains. 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. There's Fennell. And he runs a different way, right? He looks like he's a lot like elbows, right? Like a lot of moving parts. He's not like that rigid runner. He's just kind of flailing about, it appears, and good gain on first down for Stevie Fennell. Looks like he might have taken a hit. He'll come out to get looked at. 5-yard gain. So 2nd and 5. It's really quite a contrast when you kind of look at the two sidelines. The Garden City players are kind of lined up from the 50 down to the 30. There's that many guys. And Carey on the far sideline, not as deep of a roster. Off the toss. Good hesitation and another attempted hurdle. And that was Vortuba. So Vortuba's like, hey, I saw you, Cascade, and I could do the same. And again, some chirping going on, it seems like. We know Cascade isn't coming back. He's got some ice on his right leg and his helmet in his hand. So Cascaden's day certainly done, and you would assume, even if it wasn't a slight injury, just the score would dictate his role on the bench. 3rd and 3. I formation for Garden City. Handoff again, inside run, Vortuba. He pushes himself forward, and again, some extracurriculars, and this has got to get figured out. There's about 13 flags, it appears, right now, as any official who had a flag in his pocket has thrown one. And look, honestly, at this point, you've got more to lose if you're Garden City, right? You've certainly got a county championship to play for. You can see right there sort of the push, the extra shove, as well, the reaction as well. But look, Carey's season is going to end here at the end of this game. Personal foul, the call against Carey. But if you're Garden City, you've got it all to lose right now. If you're any of these guys in maroon, of course you want to play on the biggest stage, and that would be in the county championship and potentially in the Long Island Championship. So they'd be wise to avoid any extracurriculars at this point. And Carey, too, look, it's self-inflicted wounds. It's hard enough to battle Garden City as good as they are, but you can't give them all this extra field, which they've done. 1st and 10 from the 18. Inside handoff, cutting it to the outside, and another touchdown for Garden City. Matty Kephart gets himself in the scorebook. Again, number 24 for Garden City, Kephart, has been sidelined this year. So his stats, which really honestly coming into this game was a reception for 3 yards. But he's back. He's healthy. He's just a sophomore. He played as a freshman, which is impressive on a Garden City varsity squad, certainly. His brother also was a really good player for Garden City, linebacker outside on the offensive line as well. Timeout by Garden City. We'll actually take it with them as well. It's 8:35 left in this third quarter. It's all Garden City. 48-7 is their lead. You're watching the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media.
It's time to get hyped with Varsity Media. We offer an array of video services sure to amp up your team. From staged preseason hype videos with custom lighting and smoke machines to sideline highlights of a big game. How can your team stand out from the crowd? Contact Varsity Media today and let us tailor something your squad will never forget. These are the best times of your life. Capture them in the most creative ways possible with the sports leader, Varsity Media.
Fargione makes it a perfect 7 of 7 on point after attempts. And the lead is now 49-7 for Garden City. So the Trojans certainly look to be well on their way to another county championship. They are the defending champs. And in fact, the last time, we mentioned before, right? Dave Ettinger's record as a head coach, a ridiculous 70-3. Well, the last time that Garden City played here at Hofstra was actually one of those 3 losses. They lost to Lindenhurst in the Long Island Championship 2 years ago. There you see 7th year for Ettinger out of Comac High School. Just before that game in the county championship, what a game that was. It was Garden City defeating MacArthur. The great Joe Gardy, longtime head coach at Hofstra. It was his grandson who kicks the winning field goal just about at the end, or it was at the end of the game. I was about to say just about as time expired. There's still a couple seconds left in that one, but a remarkable moment there for Gardy and for Garden City. But that was 2 years ago, right? So you think about the lifeline of a varsity football player, especially at Garden City. You don't have many opportunities, right? If you're a tremendous player, maybe you go 3-4 years. Most guys are 2-year varsity players. So very few have had that opportunity to play here. There's Kyle Lewis trying to get it to the outside. So these Trojans excited about the opportunity. Will it be MacArthur or will it be Mepham? We'll find that out tonight. That's our final game of the day, into the evening, into maybe late night here at Hofstra Stewart Stadium. That one should be a good one. I'm telling you, I had some conversations here at halftime. MacArthur, the favorite, they got their high watermark in terms of points this season against Mepham, but that was a different Mepham team. They've changed their defense. They've played well of late. I think that could be a really, really good finale here from Stewart Stadium tonight. So Carey back on the attack, 1st and 10 from their own 30. That's Lewis with the run. Certainly a tough day at the office for Carey, but they did, again, reach a goal, right? So the goal of any team that plays in Nassau County is to get here, to get to Hofstra, and that's what they did. Run to the outside. Look at this one. Breaking a long, long run. Is it going to be a touchdown? It will be. A tremendous run by Tolliver. No flags on the play. Will Tolliver. A touchdown run. That's one of the reasons, if you are Carey, you're excited about your future, because number 30 there, he is just a sophomore. Gets a good lead block. 58 was the blocker, Vin Tierney. And then Tolliver does the rest. What a season he's had as well. 95 carries, 808 yards, as the PAT by Gangone is no good. 9 touchdowns on the season by Tolliver. He's got a tough background, does Tolliver, and we certainly offer our condolences as well. His father passed away in week 8, so he's got a bit of a rough life, does Will Tolliver, but he's all positive on the football field. One of those great stories about how football can really help you deal with some tough life situations, and that's the situation with number 30 for Carey, Will Tolliver. All-county selection for Carey. And that's a thing, too, that Stanley says. He goes, usually I don't nominate sophomores for anything. He wants them to earn their accolades later in their high school career. But it's well earned from Tolliver, who Stanley says is one of those guys, because of those injuries this year. He says Tolliver has helped save our season at Carey. So after the missed PAT, 49-13 is your score. 7:39 left in the third quarter. Gangone to kick off. Bounced at about the 31-yard line, and a return of about 9. Garden City's offense will go back onto the field. Let's see who's going to go out there for Garden City now. And we will have a new QB. So Schmidt, it would appear, his night is done. So Ryan Marr in as QB. His first order of business is to hand off and hit for a loss is number 32 for Garden City, Francisco Ingracia. So it'd be a loss of 1. Ryan Marr getting instructions from the bench. Because Garden City has been in so many lopsided games, Mars had an opportunity certainly to play. He's carried the ball 4 times for 13 yards. Another handoff, and again, the Carey defense, which are their first string guys. That was Joe Benelli with the tackle, 22. You see him coming in here. Good tackle by Benelli to force Matt Melig backwards. Melig, 35 carries, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the season. Brings up a 3rd and 14. Another handoff, and look at this burst. Evan Kadridis. Big run on a 3rd and long. Great run to the outside. Really good speed there as well, showed by Kadridis. Number 40 for Garden City. 16 carries for 57 yards and a score. 1st and goal from the 10. Now it's 49-13, and Garden City obviously comfortably ahead. Ryan Mayer under center. Inside handoff. Nice tackle from behind. Ray Badian doing the job. He's been an outstanding outside linebacker for Carey. 36 tackles, 7 for losses, 2 sacks on the year. He came off a major knee injury in the spring where he was sidelined for both football and lacrosse, but as he's gotten better, as he's gotten healthier, Carey too has become better as a team. And as he practices healthier, which hasn't happened until about 3 weeks ago, then the Seahawks became better. He pushes guys in practice. He's a good player on both sides of the ball. Ray Badian, a senior. 2nd and goal from the 7. Another handoff. And again, good pursuit to the football by the Seahawks. Badian again in on the tackle, as well as Benelli, 22. So time winding down here in the 3rd quarter. By this point, the Garden City starters have largely gone to the sideline. Ryan Marr getting the play from his sideline. It is a 3rd and goal from the 10. Another chance here for Garden City. Fake handoff. Marr goes to the outside, and he is caught from behind. Again, it is Badian doing the job. Watch again, 35 coming. Reads it all the way. Really good job chasing Marr and getting him down to the ground. So clock continues to roll. It is all Garden City, kind of as we expected. Again, first game was 41-0 in the regular season. Carey is a better team now. Timeout for the Trojans. They pretty much took the clock down as deep as they could before taking a penalty, and they will call a timeout. We'll take the timeout with them as well. Closing moments of the third quarter. It's all Garden City. It's the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Teed off by shoulder pain? We've got specialists for that. Realizing you've pulled out more than weeds? We've got specialists for that. Doing the twist making you shout? We've got specialists for that. Orland & Cohen's top orthopedic team has specialized expertise and extensive training from the nation's premier programs in sports medicine, knee, shoulder, hip, spine, hand, foot, and ankle. So you can feel better, faster.
Welcome back to Stewart Stadium. Fargione on to attempt a 26-yard field goal. Schmidt gets the ball. It's up, and it is good. So Fargione has had a great day kicking the football, right? He's made all of his extra points. Adds a 26-yard field goal as well, extending Garden City's lead to 52-13. Again, our final game of the day comes up about an hour or so after the conclusion of this one. Originally, it was scheduled for 8:30, and there you see it. The Pirates of Mepham against the Generals of MacArthur. That is our final Orland and Cone game of the week here today, tonight. Certainly big thanks to Orland and Cone for their season-long sponsorship of Varsity Media broadcasts. It's been a fun one here today at Hofstra and throughout Long Island. Again, we were fortunate. I was certainly fortunate to be out at Walt Whitman today to watch the historic run by the Wildcats continue. They are 10-0 for the first time in Walt Whitman's 83 years of football. Congratulations to them off of that big win over Ward Melville. Again, a low-driven kick. How about that drive backwards on the special teams? How about 84? Give him some props as well. Watch again. Was it 84 or a different number? 64 was the number, and that's Ryan Krieg. I'm going to give some props to Krieg there. So Carey back on offense. Metzger looks for options, rolls, just throws it towards his sideline. You do kind of wonder what if, a little bit, right, with Carey, how different would their situation have been had Dean Metzger had a full season under his belt? And again, we were saying it before when we spoke with Mike Stanley about kind of the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, right, for Carey. He said he told anyone who would listen that Metzger had the potential to be the best quarterback that he's ever had in his 15 years of coaching Carey. He said he's got a very strong arm, but the things he could do athletically are kind of what separates him from other guys who have been at that spot. Handoff on second down. Nice run out toward midfield. That's Tolliver again. He will get out to the 49-yard line for a first down run. But yeah, you think about the Mount Rushmore, right, of quarterbacks at Carey. You've got Ray Catapano, who just was so ridiculously accurate as a passer, and then Mike Catanese, who followed Catapano, started at Cornell as well. So some big shoes there, but Metzger was right there had it not been for that injury. Metzger airs it up and kind of an excuse me interception, and looks like it's going to get returned to the house. Great job tackling upfield, but a fantastic interception for Garden City. It's 81. Anthony Cuccia. And watch Cuccia. He kind of was like, oh, thanks. Took a deflection. All right, I'll take that ball. And then Cuccia just explodes upfield. It was a really good tackle here at the end of this play. Right there. Great job catching that one. And again, it was 30. We've mentioned his name a few times. Tolliver saves the touchdown there. So Garden City back onto the field. A comfortable 52-13 lead here late in the third quarter. First and 10 from the 22-yard line. Inside handoff. And the run continues. This should, though, do it for the third quarter. It doesn't appear Garden City will need to run another play. So it is all Garden City here at Hofstra. The Trojans 12 minutes away from advancing to another county championship where they'll play either Mepham or MacArthur coming up next week. 3 quarters in the books. Here it is the Orland and Cone game of the week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's time to get hyped with Varsity Media. We offer an array of video services sure to amp up your team. From staged preseason hype videos with custom lighting and smoke machines to sideline highlights of a big game. How can your team stand out from the crowd? Contact Varsity Media today and let us tailor something your squad will never forget. These are the best times of your life. Capture them in the most creative ways possible with the sports leader, Varsity Media.
Welcome back to Stewart Stadium on the campus of Hofstra University. Fourth quarter just about set to start. During that break, took a quick perusal through the programs that they have here at Hofstra. They did a great job, too, of having Coach Tony Carter on the cover. Of course, Coach Carter, a longtime Wanta assistant coach, was sadly died last spring from COVID. But he is remembered certainly here on the program. But was looking at Conference 2 from 1970 to spring of 2021 and all the champions, and it's been all Garden City. They are the 5-time defending champions. The Trojans are. The last time a team other than Garden City has won in Conference 2 was MacArthur back in 2015. There's the handoff. Another good run on first down. Yeah, so in 2015, MacArthur beat Wanta And before that, that's when this rivalry between Carey and Garden City was at its height, because in 2013 and 2014, Carey went back-to-back to beat Garden City in the Conference 2 championship. And that's where we mentioned before, right? Ray Catapano, and he had his brother, Anthony Catapano, at center. That was certainly when Mike Stanley remembered or talked about his memories of playing or coaching here and having his teams play here. Those were his fondest memories, really, even as a coach in his 15 years, that run and that all those close games with Garden City. And this is kind of the unfortunate situation now if you're Garden City, right? Because you want to have your second string and your third string guys have an opportunity to score the football, but you can't because of this rule of a sportsmanship rule of scoring too many points. But yeah, speaking about that rivalry with Garden City, he said, look, we had a game against them. This is Carey's coach, Mike Stanley, in 2009, where they hadn't given up a touchdown all year. He said, we lost 2019 in the semis, but a year later we beat them in the regular season. We lost in the championship. They went back and forth, where Carey won in 08, they lost in 09, they split in 2010. Garden City won in 11, won in a tremendous game in 12, but then Carey had 4 straight where they won in 13 and 14, and he says, you know what, back then we can call it a rivalry. It was the most fun games that he was a part of as a coach. But again, yeah, right, this is the situation. You can't score points or else you could potentially get a suspension for quote-unquote running up a score. But, you know, you want your second and third string guys to have an opportunity to play football as well, right? So it's not a situation where I don't know if you can meet a guy who is a better leader of young men than Dave Ettinger. And you remember the situation earlier this year, too, where he said he self-suspended himself. Nassau County didn't do it. He did it to himself in that win over MacArthur, which drew headlines. And, you know, this is the rule that's in place, right? So you get down to the end zone, and you've got to tell your guys you can't score. And now here's an interesting situation, too, right? Garden City rolls through Nassau Conference 2, certainly will be heavy favorites when they play in the county championship. And if they do get to the Long Island championship, is Garden City at a disadvantage, right? Because their starters haven't played 4 quarters of football really all year, right? So you think about Suffolk Division 2, and you've got all those teams, right? And Hills East today beat Bellport, and Lindenhurst had that big win against Northport. Those teams, because you play in a black and blue division in Suffolk Division 2, those guys play 4 quarters every single week. Garden City hasn't. Right? So will that be a disadvantage should Garden City get to the Long Island Championship? We'll see. That remains to be seen. And again, they'll take a knee because they can't afford to have too lopsided a score and see their head coach suspended next week. So the clock will continue to roll. And you know what? They'll likely take another knee now. Here on 4th down. I don't know who benefits from these situations. You know, you kind of get hurt if you're Garden City for being so good, I guess. But you don't have a chance to have your younger guys play and score points. So that's where we are. Garden City gets it down to the 4. They take, or now the 9 from those knees. They take 4 kneel downs, and Carey will take over on downs. But certainly through the history of Nassau Conference 2, there's been no team more dominant than Garden City. They've won their last 5. Before that, they won from 2009 to 12 before Carey got those 2 championships, those back-to-back championships we referred to before. And it's funny, a lot of Garden City's championships have been in clusters, right? 2003 to 2005 as well. You had that run from 1990 to 1995 with other titles in 98 and 2000 as well. There's no doubt the Trojans have been one of the most dominant teams not only in Nassau County, but in the state of New York. And Mike Stanley said, I think, honestly, if you look at it, we're probably playing the best defense in the state of New York. Big run there to the outside. That was Benelli. Benelli, strong, powerful. He does have explosiveness. Stanley said he probably blocks more than he wants to out of the backfield. He's a guy like anybody else, right? High school kid, you want to run the football, and Benelli did there. But he's got good pace, and he's capable. So Benelli, the senior, came into this game with 14 carries for 85 yards and a score. New quarterback for Carey as another run for Benelli. He will be in, or he will stay in, I should say. A 2nd and 11 off that loss of a yard. The new quarterback is Matt Metzger, Dean Metzger's younger brother, and he was the signal caller for really most of the season. There he is there trying to turn and not getting anywhere. But Metzger, the younger Metzger, there he is, speaking with Mike Stanley, the head coach, had a very good regular season. But again, he's the guy who literally filled his brother's shoes when Dean was out with a PCL injury. 3rd and 14 from the 35-yard line. Ooh, and a fumble on it, and Metzger is hit hard. Looked like that was an attempted handoff, but it went awry. And Creditas, with the tackle. There he is, 40, before the help of his buddies. So 4th and 17. Degnan back on to punt for Carey. He gets it off. It'll take a bounce before it is fielded by Marcos Lezcano, the senior for Carey. So Garden City will go back on offense probably for the last time today with 5 minutes left in this fourth quarter. It's a game that's been dominated by Garden City. Can anybody beat Garden City? The answer has certainly been an emphatic no to this point. They've really not even been in a game, certainly not at this juncture of any game this season. That's how good they've been this year. Might not be their best team. Certainly the jury's still out, right? You've still got to decide that. There's still more games to be played. Garden City would like there to be at least 2 more games played, but look, you play who's in front of you, and they have done the job in a big way this season, have the Trojans. They've got a 1st and 10 from their own 20. There's the pitch left. And again, it's a run towards a sideline, and you could see that Ingracia had the ability to turn it upfield and run for more, but just strolled out of bounds. He's had a great year this year, 29 carries for 95 yards and 2 scores in largely kind of mop-up duty, right? Because your number one backer, or running back, I should say, is Cascadden. Fennell will come in for him as well, and then now you go to your 3rd and 4th string guys. 1st and 10 from the 47. The clock continues to wind towards 4 minutes. Another handoff. And you could see there too, right? Like the ball carrier, Melig, didn't want to get too much of a burst. He had the opportunity, but he just slows down. Watch here. 26 cuts it inside. There's gets a block. He's like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll just go down. 1st and 10 from the 30. Carey certainly well on their way to another trip to the Nassau Conference 2 championship game. Another run to the outside and another slide there inside the 20 by Ingracia. The Conference 2 championship will be next Saturday at 4 o'clock. You know what else will be next Saturday? The Catholic High School Football League championships, and your home for those championships is Varsity Media. We will have the AA2, AA1, and the big boy AAA championship games, all from Mitchell Athletic Complex. Really kind of across the street here from Hofstra. Watch all 3 games exclusively on the Varsity Media Sports Network YouTube channel. See that button on the bottom right? Subscribe. Do that, and you can get updates as well as and reminders to watch those games. Pitch right. And this is kind of dissolved into a glorified scrimmage at this point. While we have the opportunity, let's thank more of our sponsors. First, Orland and Cone. Big thanks to them for their season-long title sponsorship, and allowing today's game to be broadcast for free. Orland and Cone, the best providers of orthopedic care around Long Island. Visit them online for more information at orlandcone.com. We'll thank some more sponsors after this play. Another handoff and another slide. How about Limbrick Swag? Let's thank these guys as well for sponsoring today's game. For the best embroidery and custom apparel, call them at 516-705-5888. Limbrick Swag works with many sports teams in around Long Island. Mention hashtag Buckeyes and save 10%. Well, we have one last chance here. How about Fat Boy Burrito? Thanks to Tony and the crew at Fat Boy Burrito for sponsoring today's games. Located in Belmore, these guys make some unbelievable burritos and bowls, opening up locations soon in Levittown and East Northport. Check them out at fatboysburritosco.com. And that is the end of this game. Old Garden City here tonight. The Trojans win 52-13. They are now 10-0 on the season. They advance to next Saturday's Nassau Conference 2 championship against the winner of our nightcap here between Mepham and MacArthur. Carey, their season ends. They had a nice winning streak coming into this one. They won 3 straight games, beat Baldwin, Valley Stream Central, and New Hyde Park in the quarterfinals. They will end their season at 5-5. So that'll do it from Stewart Stadium here in the first of 2 Nassau Conference 2 semifinal games. Our final game comes up tonight. Follow our social media handles. We'll give you the exact time of the game. 8:30 was a hope, I think, at this point, but certainly the inclement weather we had earlier will push that game back. I'm seeing right now, looks like the Mepham bus just showing up across the way. So that one is likely to be in about an hour's time or so. So again, I want to thank our crew here. Ryan Quintilano giving you all the moving images from high atop the press box here at Hofstra, and Nick Costi as well, our director extraordinaire. Final score again, 52-13. Garden City wins it in the first of 2 Nassau Conference 2 semifinals. This has been the Orland and Cone Game of the Week on the Varsity Media Sports Network.